It is January 18th, 2018. This is the Watchman News, and I'm Mike Callahan. I've been watching North Korea, keeping a close eye on different events unfolding over there. And I have to say, some of the things that I've seen are a bit interesting, to say the least. So when North Korea decided to open up talks with South Korea, the conversation quickly shifted to the upcoming Winter Olympics that's going to be happening in South Korea. And I'll tell you what, I've been taking as much as I can into consideration as to what's going on with it all. And some news articles that I posted today that went out on the daily newsletter also is up on the site if you want to go there and look at it. I'll put all the links to these. There are 3 stories I'm going to cover, and I'll put the links to all of them down in the description of the video. But this is some really, really interesting stuff here. So we'll start out with this one here. The headline is, North Korea wants to join South, but U.S. must stay out. So let me go ahead and read the article here. North Korea has reaffirmed its commitment to ultimately reunite with South Korea, but not before rejecting any involvement by the U.S. and any other foreign powers on their shared East Asian peninsula. The phrase, by our nation itself, has frequently appeared in the North Korea's official media, attributing it to various bodies of government or its supporters. It was first conceived that during a 2000 joint declaration in which the leaders of the 2 rival states agreed to solve the question of the country's reunification independently by the concerted efforts of the Korean nation responsible for it, as quoted by state-run website, and I'm not quite sure how that's pronounced there. Most recently, it popped up in an article published Wednesday by the official Korean Central News Agency, which included it in the context of current negotiations between the 2 Koreas. In remarks attributed to pro-North Korea site, Jeju Sibo described in The Diplomat as the successor to an online outlet shut down by South Korea's strict anti-communist laws, an individual titled the honorary chairman of the Association for Supporting Prisoners of Conscience of the Family Movement for Realizing Democracy in South Korea, urged the authorities to adhere to the principle of by our nation itself in mending the North-South relations. He also said the authorities should abolish institutional and legal barriers such as repeal of the Security Law or National Security Act, which forbade South Koreans from expressing support for North Korea or communism in general. By our nation itself also appeared in North Korean Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un's New Year's speech that prompted the current talks between the foes, who technically remain at war after their post-World War II satellite states fought for 3 years on opposite sides of the Cold War in the early 1950s. Kim said he wanted to reopen a dialogue with South Korea over the issue of improving inter-Korean relations by our nation itself in order to defuse the current military tensions, as quoted by the nation. South Korean President Moon Jae-in immediately accepted. The gesture came at a time of heightened anxieties at the long-time flashpoint. Throughout 2017, North Korea managed to launch its first intercontinental ballistic missiles, test a hydrogen bomb, and declare itself a nuclear weapon state. A hardline U.S. administration led by President Donald Trump responded with heavier sanctions and increased military drills near the Korean peninsula. Even after Trump attempted to get a parting shot in his war of words with Kim by bragging about his much bigger and more powerful nuclear button at the turn of 2018, the 2 Koreas remained committed to the talks, which have primarily revolved around joint participation in next month's Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang. South Korea. The U.S. has agreed to suspend military drills for the length of the games, raising hopes that Washington would at least informally endorse the talks, while the Trump administration has offered conflicting statements as to whether it was open to talks with North Korea. The White House has indicated that Pyongyang must first demonstrate a willingness to abandon nuclear weapons, something not yet on the table in the South Korean truce village of Panmunjom. When asked at the conclusion of the Vancouver summit in the UN command-sending states, which supported South Korea during its mid-20th century conflict with North Korea, about whether he thought the U.S. would go to war with North Korea, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson said Tuesday that we all need to be very sober and clear-eyed about the current situation, because North Korea would trigger military action by not capitulating to U.S. maximum pressure demands, according to CBS News. The U.S. has yet to formally enter the talks, and the two Koreas have made significant progress in a relatively short amount of time. North Korea has agreed to send hundreds of athletes, cheerleaders, officials, and other individuals to the upcoming games, and the two nations were set to march together under the Korean unification flag for the first time in a decade. Some analysts, such as the Institute for the Study of Wars, Charles Frattini III, have linked North Korea's recent willingness to negotiate with a desire to portray the U.S. as the primary obstacle standing between the two nations. So now that, again, that was an article describing about their relationship together. But there has been a lot of other rhetoric going on out there. The next article that I think directly involves all of this is right here. Graham says South Korea undermining Trump's North Korea efforts. Okay, so now not only is North Korea a bad guy, now South Korea is a bad guy because South Korea is actually trying to work out its differences with North Korea. Interesting stuff, huh? Let's see. It says South Korea is undercutting President Donald Trump's efforts to pressure North Korea to give up on its nuclear ambitions by allowing the rogue state to participate in next month's Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang. And increasing the risk of conflict, Republican Senator Lindsey Graham has said. Speaking at a discussion at the American Enterprise Institute on Wednesday, Graham, a member of the Senate Armed Services Committee, expressed concerns that the South's overtures to Pyongyang was sending the wrong signals to North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. The Republican senator said South Korea is a great ally and that he was sympathetic to the fact it was in a bad spot, but added, I think the signals that they are sending to North Korea are undercutting what Trump is trying to do, which will make it more likely that we will build up military capability, not less. I think what Kim Jong-un is going to see out of this, how bad could I be? I'm going to get the biggest party in the world. How bad could I be? Graham said. Here's a simple rule. If you had the largest system of concentration camps in the world, if you systematically rape and torture your own people, and you threaten the world with nuclear attack, you probably shouldn't go to the Olympics. Graham also said he believed a war with North Korea would be devastating and that a military option should be a last resort, contending a surgical strike against the rogue state would not be particularly effective. Recently, there have been reports the White House has considered a limited or a bloody nose strike against North Korea, but Trump reportedly told South Korean President Moon Jae-in he is not contemplating such a strike. So, you get the idea with this. Now again, they're trying to make South Korea to be the bad guy, when all they're doing is trying to improve their relationship with North Korea. And in all reality, we should stay out of it. That's between those two countries. We have no business in between that, okay? Makes no sense. But get this, it doesn't stop there. There's another article. And again, all three of these articles I will link in the description of this video. Trump says Russia undermining North Korea sanctions. It says U.S. President Donald Trump on Wednesday accused Russia of undermining international sanctions against North Korea and weakening efforts to curb Kim Jong-un's nuclear weapons program. Russia is not helping us at all with North Korea, Trump told the Reuters news agency. Now, don't forget, and it's the next thing, what China is helping us with, Russia is denting, okay? But if you recall right, China was sending oil to North Korea. So is China really working with us, or is this more propaganda that I was telling everybody to keep an eye out for from the very beginning? Because our media and our government was telling us that, you know, China and Russia and all these other countries were good to go. They were all, you know, supporting us. Okay? That wasn't the case. And I kept calling it out at the time. I called it out each and every time. Because if you listen to the media of these other countries, they were saying, they were denouncing what the United States was doing, especially with the THAAD systems. Anyway, last month, Trump had already denounced Russia for not helping global efforts to pressure Pyongyang to halt the development of nuclear weapons and ballistic missile delivery systems that have ratcheted up tensions with Washington. Trump has blamed the investigation into Russian meddling in the 2016 election for hampering an improvement in U.S.-Russian relations, thereby limiting his influence over President Vladimir Putin. So, you know, it's insane, folks, what is going on here. It really is. And I can tell you now that the only thing that is going to appease our government is for them to give up their nuclear arms. And I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening. What I do see happening is I do see countries that it would appear are going to start rallying actually around North Korea. And if North Korea plays its cards right with South Korea and with its Olympics, wow, that could very, very well turn the tables. So there you go. Again, the links will be down in the description. Thanks for watching.